What's up, guys? It's Ben with 2020 election predictions, and I think this is a very plausible map for election night 2020. Now, do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I'm just a super biased towards Trump, that I am just not living in reality? Well, let me explain why I think this is a very plausible map for election night, November 3rd and even November 4th, 2020. So we've just had some news come out by a Bloomberg affiliated group um, that warns of an apparent Trump election day landslide. And this is from more of a left wing sources, a little bit more from a right wing source. But in one of their scenarios, they say that Trump could win 400 or appear he could hold a projected lead of 408 electoral votes on election night. And right now, I only have 353, but like Trump could appear to win by a lot more. And I don't think people would buy that his 408 result is correct. But if it went from 408 to Biden winning, I think a lot of people would be suspicious of that. But I think it is possible it could happen. And we see that Trump tweeted out. He said, "This is the article that the person was referencing, Raheem Kassam, and I've never heard of the National Pulse, but I think it is a right-leaning news source." And Donald Trump said rigged election question mark. And a lot of different people were like saying, "Oh, Trump is not going to accept the election results. This is like the pinpoint of our democracy. Like, how dare he do this?" But one thing I also want to point out is that Hillary Clinton advised Biden. Hillary Clinton, who was the 2016 Democratic nominee, said that Biden should not concede under any circumstances. So if this is the messaging from the left, I guarantee you Donald Trump is not going to concede on election night under any circumstances as well, because I think that is fair. In the 2016 debates, when Chris Wallace is actually going to be the debate moderator again, asked the candidates if they were going to accept the results on election night. Hillary Clinton said yes, it's very important that we do so, and Donald Trump said no, and he was criticized a lot. Which, I mean, and I understand why people were critical of that, because I think it is one of the pinpoints of our or it's one of the very important things of our American democracy, that we accept the results and that we have a peaceful transition of power. But I think I watched this interview. I would really encourage y'all to do so, even though that the CEO of Hawkfish, I mean, it's definitely left leaning. So I mean, and I don't want to say that his models are biased, but I think it is very possible. And some quotes that he had from his interview was he said that there could be a red mirage on election night that could look like, quote, an incredible victory for Trump. And I mean, I think a lot of people, when they're watching the cable news, we expect more instantaneous results. I mean, we watch the CNN election night, the Fox News election center, and they say, "We call this state for Trump, we call this state for Clinton." I mean, it's very exciting. And we knew who the winner of the 2016 election was later than we normally do, but it was 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and we're like, wow, like it was really close. We had to wait longer. I think people are not going to realize that the 2020 election is going to drag out a lot. And I think it's going to be more crazy than the 2000 election, because I think we have social media now. We have more fake news. Things can start trending and go viral on Twitter without any vetting. I don't think this was as possible in 2000. And I think people are more partisan. There's more social unrest now than there was in 2000. I mean, I think really this could be a doomsday scenario. And I think that Trump is probably going to call victory when he sees this map. I mean, this is an overwhelming landslide victory for Trump. For Trump to see this on election night and have it taken away from him, I mean, knowing Trump, he's not going to do that. I mean, he's a very, I mean, this is something he cares about a lot. Trump is not going to go easy. If he sees this election map, thinking that he won. He won an overwhelming victory, and then have it all wash away. So what the Bloomberg group thinks is that this is what the map could look like, and then slowly you see some of these states become more blue, and they think that what the final number will be 207 or 204 for Donald Trump, which I do think is plausible. I still think that Trump's going to win North Carolina, and I think that Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Florida will be competitive. But I do think this is a plausible outcome that this group has right now, and I do agree that like on election night, these states could very well go to Donald Trump or have it appear. I don't think the state of Illinois, just because of the urban center of Chicago, it's like one of the biggest states, but we could slowly see some of these states start going more blue. I mean, I think we would start to see the kind of the more obvious ones go. And then, I mean, right now, this would give Biden a victory. And I think that a lot of Republicans would call foul. It might have to go to the Supreme Court. If to remind you of 2000, I mean, I was barely born in 2000. And many of you might not have remembered the 2000 election, but that took 36 days to figure out. And one thing is that the news organizations looked like idiots. Some of them called Florida for Bush, and then called the entire election for Bush. Some of them said Gore won Florida, and that Gore was going to be our next president. And I mean, this was just going back and forth, and people were confused. They were, I mean, it was taking a toll on people because we didn't know who our president was going to be. And I mean, our president is a big deal. And I think it's going to be even more crazy that there could be violence in the streets. And by no means am I encouraging that at all. But I mean, I just think in our current political moment, it is going to be scary. If it goes from a red mirage to a very contested election like this, like 270 to 260. I think it is a lot. It is a lot more likely than people think. Biden's not going to win in a landslide. We've seen the Real Clear Politics betting average. It's like exactly even at this point. So, I mean, I'm a little bit scared. But looking at some data figures, 19% of Trump voters are expected to vote by mail. While 69% of Biden voters, so I mean, this is just a huge discrepancy. I think this was taken in a poll that it was in the interview. I think this definitely could change come election day. I think we might see more Democrats vote in person because kind of they're scared of this thing happening, and they want to get their vote counted. In the last poll, it's estimated that 40% of people will vote by mail, which is a lot. And if it's by this kind of 19 to 69 margin, I mean, it's definitely going to give Trump a huge advantage come election day. And I don't want to say that like Biden's definitely going to win at the end of the day. I mean, it definitely could be that like Trump looks like he has a massive lead, but then at the end of the day, he ends up still winning, but it's more narrow. I think that's also a very likely outcome. But this election is going to draw out. My estimate is that it's probably going to take between 3 and 5 days, but it could take as long as like 10 days or 20 days. And I don't think that the Supreme Court is going to have to intervene, but I think that will be something that if it happens, it's going to just tear our country apart because obviously 2 of the Supreme Court justices are Trump appointees. I honestly think if the Supreme Court decides who's president, I think John Roberts, who's become the new swing vote, honestly might have it where Biden wins. And obviously, the Supreme Court should not be choosing our president. And in Florida, they weren't trying to. It was more of should they have more recounting. And it shouldn't have been that like the 4 liberal justices were like saying yes, and the 5 conservative ones were saying no, because that's just a bad look for the court system. But if it's not just going to be a binary choice that will like Supreme Court, do you vote for Trump or Biden? I mean, it's not going to be like that. But I think that might be the last case scenario that might happen. I mean, I hate to be a pessimist, but I really think the 2020 election could be an entire mess. I'm planning on voting in person just because I trust it more. Um, and I think for anyone who can, I think it's they should do that. But um, I mean, voting by mail is just going to be very experimental. I think potentially there could be some voter fraud. I mean, I just really don't know these things. I think in some of the primaries, voting by mail just hasn't worked. But I mean, some people just because of the coronavirus are going to have to vote by mail, so we have to have that option. I think if we can do it in a safe way. If we can't do it in a safe way, then we shouldn't do it. And I'm not an expert about all these things, but we're just in a very precarious situation right now. So golly. All right. Well, I don't want to ramble on. I really hope that y'all like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification if you're already subscribed, so you can get kind of all my new updates. And I don't do a ton of new updates, so I'm not going to be spamming your phone with new notifications all the time. But sometimes I like to go live at night, and I kind of open up more than my videos. So you should definitely subscribe and hit the bell notification and share with some of your friends you think are interested in politics, because I try to be a very unbiased person who kind of looks at things very objectively. So, all right, guys, see y'all later. Be on the lookout for a new video tomorrow.